In the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, there lay a forgotten and isolated town named Hollowbrook. Surrounded by dense forests and shrouded in mist, Hollowbrook had a dark and mysterious past. Legends whispered of a malevolent presence that roamed the woods, waiting for unsuspecting souls to wander too far from the safety of the village. Every year, on the night of the harvest moon, the townspeople would gather in the village square to play hide and seek. It was a tradition passed down through generations, a way to celebrate the harvest season and honor the spirits of the forest. But as the years went by, the game became more than just a simple tradition. It became a test of courage and a rite of passage for the town's youth. Among the children participating in the game were two best friends, Sarah and Jacob. They were inseparable, known for their fearlessness and adventurous spirits. They looked forward to the game with a mix of excitement and trepidation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie orange glow over the village, the children gathered in the village square. The air was thick with anticipation and the faint scent of autumn leaves. The village elders lit a bonfire, its flames dancing and crackling in the cool night air. The rules were simple: one child would be the seeker while the others scattered into the forest to find hiding spots. The seeker would count to 100, and then the search would begin. Sarah and Jacob exchanged a nervous glance before joining the other children in the scramble to find hiding spots. Jacob found a hiding spot behind an old oak tree, while Sarah ventured deeper into the forest, determined to find the perfect hiding place. She stumbled upon an ancient stone well, its moss-covered walls standing tall amidst the trees. Feeling a shiver down her spine, Sarah hesitated for a moment before deciding that the well would be her hiding spot. She climbed inside, pulling the wooden lid over her, and waited in the darkness. As Jacob counted to 100, Sarah could feel her heart pounding in her chest. The night grew colder, and the forest seemed to come alive with mysterious sounds. The wind whispered through the trees, and the rustling leaves added to the eerie ambience. With a deep breath, Sarah steeled herself for the search. Jacob's voice echoed through the forest, "Ready or not, here I come." He began his search, his flashlight piercing through the darkness. As Sarah sat in the well, the air around her seemed to grow heavier, and an unsettling feeling crept over her. She tried to dismiss it as nerves, but her unease only grew with each passing minute. Suddenly, she heard a faint rustling from the forest floor. Her heart skipped a beat, and she clutched the sides of the well, trying to remain as silent as possible. The rustling grew closer, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. In the dim light of the moon, she saw a figure emerging from the shadows. It was not Jacob, it was someone else entirely. A chill ran down her spine as she realized that the forest had deceived her. The seeker was not her best friend but an unknown presence. Terrified, Sarah remained motionless, hoping that the figure wouldn't see her. The unknown seeker moved with an unnaturally slow and deliberate pace, as if deliberately savoring the hunt. With bated breath, Sarah watched as the figure approached the well. Her heart pounded in her ears, drowning out all other sounds. The figure paused, as if sensing her presence, and Sarah held her breath, fearing the worst. But then, to her relief, the figure turned away and continued its search elsewhere. Sarah let out a shaky breath, her body trembling with fear. She waited until the coast was clear before making a decision. She had to find Jacob and warn him about the mysterious seeker. With caution, Sarah climbed out of the well and ventured deeper into the forest. The mist hung like a veil, making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. She called out for Jacob, but her voice seemed to be swallowed by the forest. As she wandered through the dark woods, Sarah felt as if the forest itself was alive and watching her every move. The trees seemed to whisper secrets, and the shadows danced around her, taking on eerie shapes. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Sarah stumbled upon Jacob. He was crouched behind a fallen log, his eyes wide with fear. "Jacob, we have to get out of here," Sarah urged, her voice shaking. Jacob nodded, and they began to make their way back to the village. But as they walked, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being followed. The forest seemed to close in around them, its darkness suffocating and all-consuming. Suddenly, a bone-chilling howl pierced the night air, sending shivers down their spines. It was a sound unlike anything they had heard before, a haunting cry that seemed to come from beyond the realms of the living. Fear propelled them forward, and they ran as fast as their legs could carry them. The forest seemed to twist and turn, leading them in circles. Panic set in, and they felt as if they were trapped in a nightmarish maze. Just when they thought all hope was lost, they spotted the glow of the bonfire through the trees. The village was within reach, and they pushed themselves harder, desperate to escape the clutches of the forest. As they burst into the village square, breathless and terrified, the other children and villagers turned to them with concern. "What happened? Are you okay?" someone asked. Sarah and Jacob struggled to catch their breath, their minds still reeling from the horrors they had faced. With trembling voices, they recounted their harrowing experience in the forest, of the mysterious seeker who was not one of them, and the haunting howl that seemed to come from the depths of the forest itself. The village elders listened intently, their faces grave and thoughtful. They had heard tales of the malevolent spirits that roamed the forest on the night of the harvest moon, and they knew that the children had encountered something beyond the realm of the living. The elders huddled together, discussing the strange events of the night. Finally, they turned to the children and spoke with solemnity. "You have faced the malevolent spirits of the forest and returned to tell the tale. You are now protectors of the village, guardians of its secrets. The forest is a place of ancient magic and untold mysteries, and it must be respected and feared." From that night on, the hide-and-seek game on the night of the harvest moon was forbidden in Hollowbrook. The village elders knew that the forest held secrets beyond human comprehension, and they vowed to protect their children from the malevolent forces that lurked in the shadows. The tale of Sarah and Jacob's terrifying adventure became a legend, passed down through generations as a cautionary tale. The children of Hollowbrook grew up with a healthy respect for the ancient forest, knowing that some mysteries are best left unsolved, and some games are not meant to be played in the domain of the supernatural. And as each harvest moon approached, the village would fall silent, for they knew that on this night, the spirits of the forest roamed freely, and the boundary between the living and the supernatural world was at its thinnest. Once, in a small and secluded village, there lived a group of children who loved playing. They would gather in the fading light of the day to challenge each other in a game that they thought was all fun and laughter. Little did they know that one evening, the game would take a terrifying turn. It was a misty and ominous evening when the children decided to play once again. They gathered near an old, abandoned mansion at the edge of the village, a place rumored to be haunted. The mansion stood tall and dark, its windows boarded up, and its gardens overgrown with weeds. The children chose Michael as the seeker for this round. With eyes closed, Michael began to count as the others scattered in different directions to find the perfect hiding spots. The village was filled with the eerie silence of the misty night, broken only by the occasional hoot of an owl. One by one, Michael found the hidden children, their giggles and whispers giving away their positions. However, as the game continued, he couldn't find his friend, Emily. He searched high and low, calling her name, but she was nowhere to be found. Growing increasingly worried, the children decided to abandon the game and search for Emily together. They scoured every corner of the village, but she seemed to have vanished without a trace. Fear started to take hold as the realization that something was amiss settled in. Remembering the rumors about the haunted mansion, the children couldn't help but wonder if Emily had somehow wandered inside. With trembling hearts, they made their way towards the mansion, the mist swirling around them like ghostly specters. As they approached the decrepit building, a chilling wind blew through the broken windows, and the children felt as though they were being watched by unseen eyes. They hesitated but were determined to find their friend. Gathering their courage, they cautiously entered the mansion, the creaking floorboards echoing through the silence. The rooms were filled with dusty relics of the past, and the air hung heavy with an unexplainable presence. In the dim light of their flashlights, the children found an old, weathered staircase leading to the upper floors. With trepidation, they ascended the stairs, each step bringing them closer to the unknown. As they reached the top floor, they heard a faint sound, a soft whimper coming from behind a closed door. With fear and hope intertwined, they approached the door and gently pushed it open. There, in the dimly lit room, they found Emily, her eyes wide with fear and her face pale as a ghost. She had taken shelter in the old mansion, thinking it would be the perfect hiding spot, only to become trapped inside when the door mysteriously locked behind her. Relieved to have found their friend, the children hurried to comfort her. But as they turned to leave, they heard a haunting sound, the sound of laughter echoing through the mansion, laughter that did not belong to any of them. Terror consumed the children as they ran for the exit, the mansion seeming to come alive around them. Doors slammed shut, and eerie whispers filled the air. They pushed through the heavy front door and stumbled into the night, never looking back. From that day on, the children vowed never to play hide and seek near the haunted mansion again. They knew they had encountered something beyond their understanding, something that lurked in the shadows, waiting for unsuspecting souls to cross its path. The memory of that fateful night haunted them, a chilling reminder of the dangers that lay hidden in the darkness. They had learned a valuable lesson, that some games are best left unplayed, and some places are best left untouched by curious souls. Every year on the night of the harvest moon, the children would gather to play hide and seek in the nearby forest. It was said that on this special night, the spirits of the forest would awaken, and the boundaries between the living and the supernatural world would blur. Among the children participating in the game were best friends, Emma and Liam. They were adventurous and always up for a challenge, but as the sun set and the harvest moon rose, a sense of trepidation crept over them. The forest loomed ahead, its ancient trees casting long shadows on the forest floor. The children's laughter echoed through the night as they sought hiding spots, their flashlights illuminating the darkness like fireflies. As the seeker, Liam closed his eyes and began counting while Emma dashed away to find the perfect hiding place. She ventured deep into the heart of the forest, her heart pounding with both excitement and fear. Emma found a secluded clearing surrounded by ancient trees, their twisted branches creating a natural fortress. She huddled behind a large tree trunk, trying to control her breathing as she waited to be found. Minutes felt like hours, and the forest grew eerily silent. Even the nocturnal creatures seemed to have hushed their calls. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her, unseen eyes peering through the darkness. Finally, Liam's voice rang through the forest, "Ready or not, here I come." As he began his search, Emma strained to listen for his footsteps. The rustling of leaves sent shivers down her spine, and she wondered if it was Liam approaching or something else entirely. Suddenly, a twig snapped behind her, and Emma's heart leaped into her throat. She turned, expecting to see Liam, but there was only darkness. Fear gripped her as the forest seemed to come alive with sinister whispers, as if the trees were murmuring secrets to one another. Emma clutched her flashlight, trying to steady her trembling hand. "Liam, this isn't funny," she called out, but her voice wavered. Just as she began to wonder if Liam was playing a prank on her, a chilling gust of wind rushed through the clearing. The trees swayed ominously, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. As Emma tried to make her way back to the village, she realized she was disoriented. The forest seemed to have changed around her, the familiar landmarks no longer recognizable. Panic set in, and she quickened her pace, praying to find her way back. Every rustle and whisper seemed to echo around her, and she couldn't shake the feeling of being followed. Her heart pounded in her chest, drowning out all other sounds. Suddenly, a faint light flickered in the distance, and relief washed over Emma. It was the village. She hurried towards the light, feeling as though she had escaped a malevolent presence that had enveloped the forest. As she stumbled into the outskirts of the village, Emma saw Liam waiting anxiously. He rushed to her, concern etched across his face. "Emma, where were you? I've been looking everywhere." Emma tried to catch her breath, her voice trembling as she recounted her unsettling experience in the forest. Liam listened intently, and as she finished, his eyes widened with disbelief. "You were only gone for a few minutes," he said. "I didn't even have a chance to search that part of the forest." Emma's heart sank as she realized that what she had experienced felt like hours, not minutes. The forest had played a sinister trick on her, distorting time and reality. From that night on, Emma and Liam never played in the forest during the harvest moon again. They had encountered something otherworldly, something that blurred the lines between imagination and reality, and they knew that the forest held secrets best left undisturbed. The tale of that eerie night became a cautionary story, passed down through generations in the village. The children would gather around campfires to hear the chilling tale of Emma and Liam's encounter with the supernatural, a reminder that some games are not meant to be played in the domain of the unknown. And as each harvest moon approached, the village would fall silent, for no one could forget the unsettling events of that unforgettable night. Deep in the heart of a dense, ancient forest, there lay a secluded and forgotten village. For centuries, the village had been shrouded in mystery and whispered tales of eerie occurrences. The villagers were a superstitious lot, believing that the forest was inhabited by malevolent spirits that came alive under the veil of darkness. Every year, on the night of the blood moon, a tradition was held in the village that both intrigued and frightened the locals. It was a game of hide and seek, played in the heart of the forest, where the spirits were said to roam freely. Legend had it that on this night, the veil between the living and the supernatural world was at its thinnest, and the forest came alive with other worldly entities. Despite the warnings and eerie tales, the children of the village eagerly anticipated the annual hide-and-seek game. Among the participants were two best friends, Elena and Gabriel. They were known for their bravery and adventurous spirits, and they were determined to face the forest's unknown dangers head-on. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an ominous red hue on the village, the children gathered in the center, ready to begin the game. The village elders lit bonfires to ward off evil spirits, but the glow only seemed to cast eerie shadows on the children's faces. Gabriel volunteered to be the seeker, and with a mischievous grin, he closed his eyes, counting slowly while the other children scurried into the darkness. Elena felt a rush of excitement mixed with trepidation as she darted into the forest, seeking the perfect hiding spot. As she wandered deeper into the forest, the ancient trees seemed to whisper secrets to one another, and the rustling leaves created an unsettling symphony. Elena found a small cave nestled between two boulders, its entrance covered by a thick curtain of vines. It seemed like an ideal hiding place, shielded from view and away from prying eyes. With her heart pounding, Elena huddled inside the cave, trying to control her breathing. The forest was eerily silent, as if even the creatures knew that this was a night for the spirits to roam. After what felt like an eternity, Gabriel's voice echoed through the forest, "Ready or not, here I come." As he began his search, Elena felt a chill run down her spine. The night grew colder, and the shadows seemed to dance around her, taking on twisted shapes that played tricks on her mind. Gabriel's footsteps drew nearer, and Elena clutched her flashlight tightly, its beam casting a feeble light in the darkness. Her heart pounded so loudly she was certain Gabriel would hear it. Suddenly, she heard a soft rustling outside the cave, and her breath caught in her throat. The vines at the entrance parted ever so slightly, and she thought she saw a pair of glowing eyes peering inside. Fear gripped her, and she held her breath, praying that whatever was outside the cave wouldn't notice her. But then, the glowing eyes disappeared, and the vines fell back into place. Relieved, Elena waited for Gabriel's footsteps to fade away, but they never did. The forest was filled with an eerie silence, as if time had frozen. Summoning her courage, Elena decided to venture out of the cave. However, as she stepped into the moonlit clearing, she froze in terror. The forest had changed, morphing into a sinister and unfamiliar landscape. The trees seemed to come alive, their branches twisting into grotesque forms. The ground beneath her feet pulsated with an eerie glow, and the air carried a haunting melody that seemed to resonate from within the trees themselves. Frantic and disoriented, Elena tried to find her way back to the village, but every path she took led her deeper into the heart of the forest. Panic set in, and she felt as if she were trapped in a nightmarish maze. Every time she thought she was nearing the village, it would elude her grasp, and she would find herself back in the same dark clearing. The forest seemed to taunt her, mocking her attempts to escape. As the night wore on, Elena's fear intensified, and she began to lose all sense of time. Exhausted and terrified, she collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face. Just when she felt all hope was lost, she heard a faint voice calling her name. It was Gabriel, his voice filled with concern and desperation. Elena called out to him, her voice trembling, and followed the sound. Through the dense undergrowth, she finally spotted him. Gabriel stood at the edge of the clearing, his flashlight scanning the darkness. Relief washed over him as he saw Elena emerge from the shadows. "Thank goodness, I've been looking everywhere for you," he said, rushing to her side. Elena clung to him, sobbing, recounting her harrowing experience in the ever-changing forest. Gabriel listened intently, his own fear evident in his eyes. As they made their way back to the village, they couldn't shake the feeling that the forest had not been an ordinary forest at all. It seemed like a realm of the supernatural, a place where the spirits played with the living, testing their courage and resolve. The children reached the village as the first rays of dawn broke through the horizon. The village elders rushed to their side, relieved to see them safe and sound. They listened to Elena and Gabriel's tale of their terrifying journey through the forest, and their faces grew grave. The elders explained that the forest on the night of the blood moon was a place of powerful magic, a realm where the spirits of the past and the present intertwined. They warned the children never to play hide and seek on that night again, for the consequences of crossing into the spirit realm were far too dangerous. From that night on, the village forbade the hide-and-seek game during the blood moon. Elena and Gabriel, forever changed by their experience, became the guardians of the village's folklore, passing down the tale of their terrifying night to future generations. The children of the village listened with wide-eyed wonder, learning the important lesson that some games are not meant to be played with the unknown. As the years passed, the tale of the haunted hide-and-seek game became a cherished legend, a reminder of the fragile boundary between the living and the supernatural world, and a testament to the bravery of two friends who faced the darkness and returned to tell the tale. Thank you again for joining us for another video. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe and comment down below and let us know what you would like to hear in the near future. See you all again soon.